14.
Another great track on Radio 1 Benidorm, live from the Levante beach. And listen lads, we've never stopped arguing. Well, not arguing, for once I think we're all in agreement. We've never stopped discussing this disgraceful payment structure that has been given to Mr. Scudamore, who's left the FA after 19 years.
Terrible. Furious. I was just looking there as well that I put my notes, you know, where they tried to justify it in that. And they're saying that he turned down previous offers to earn more money elsewhere, most notably when he rejected the chance to run the global sports agency IMG a decade ago. Well, whoopee woo. You're telling me that the entire English game now is as successful as it is all because of one guy? I mean, Rick Parry was the guy that started the Premier League, if I remember right.
Yeah, you're right.
It was, I think, yeah.
And so we're supposed to thank him because he didn't turn down another job. The thing is, I don't want to make it an anti-him issue. Do you know what I mean? Because, like we've said, we acknowledge the work that he's done. But I just think that giving him this £5 million pension pot, if you like, when most people haven't got a pot, that your ordinary, working class people, or I don't know, it's wrong. I just think it should. Wouldn't it have been better if they'd have called it something like the Richard Scudamore Foundation or something, or some academy somewhere?
Give it the grassroots football.
How much of a personal feeling would you get if someone said, this is what has happened in terms of improvements to these different sports, clubs, football clubs around little, the amateur clubs and that, kids under 10s, whatever. All because of your contribution, we all chipped in, $250,000, Richard, and we wanted to do this as a thank you. Now that would have been fantastic.
Yeah,
the thank you. Now that would have been fantastic.
Yeah,
Everyone would have loved that.
Yeah, but he might do it yet, don't you know?
I don't think so.
Do you think he'll take the money?
I wouldn't hold your breath.
Do you think he'll take the money or not?
I think he'll take it because he's still staying on as a consultant, so he'll justify it through that.
But the big word for me is grassroots football. I've been involved in grassroots football ever since I was 16. Playing in the Tyneside Sunday League and the North East Sunday League and the Northumberland League, and these clubs just haven't got any money. I've got to a reasonable standard, and you used to turn up on a Saturday afternoon and the pitches were covered in broken glass and dog crap, because the clubs have got no money. Now, what I wanted to do, I mentioned the FA Cup prior to the break. Flying Pig, you don't need anybody to tell you how special the FA Cup used to be.
Oh yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, I go back a lot further than you, and it was more important at one time than the league.
Yeah.
My favourite game of the year still is the FA Cup final.
But it has lost that little bit of because magic, hasn't it?
Only because of the big clubs, the ignorance.
And it's lost that prestige because the fact is you can get relegated from the Premier League and get 9, 10, 20 million plus a balloon payment of 50 million, and if you win the FA Cup you get 3.6. The people who have screwed the FA Cup are guys like Scudamore. He's took 5 million out of the game, and the winners, listen to this, just understand this, he's took 5 million out of the pot, and yet the winners of the FA Cup that can sometimes play up to 14 games get 3.6 million for the entire club. I mean, it's ridiculous, lads.
It's not worth it if you are one of the big clubs, is it?
It's not.
Putting your resources in. You're not going to go into Liverpool, maybe go into a certain game earlier on in the competition and say, like, let's put Firmino, Salah out there and all that. Well, when we're going for like all the riches of the Champions League and the Premier League, you can't blame these clubs from having to prioritise the competition.
It's devalued. Definitely the FA Cup's devalued from the monetary side of it. As you say, clubs, it's all down to earning money, isn't it? And they've got to earn money, so they want to win these bigger trophies. And that is possibly why the FA Cup has lost a little bit of its charm and everything.
The first game I ever went to was the 1986 FA Cup final between Liverpool and Everton. I went with my dad, and I think that you can talk about the Premier League, right? Let's say league football or whatever, the league, and only one person can win it. Coming second, third, fourth, they're more bothered about that these days than winning the FA Cup because of the financial rewards. But at the end of the day, for me, even the League Cup, when you get to a final at Wembley, when you're in a League Cup final or an FA Cup final, those are memories you cherish for your life. So I remember going as a young lad with my dad to Wembley in '86. He's not around anymore. I'll never forget it. You know, you go to an FA Cup final maybe with your son, your daughter, your wife, your girlfriend, your mates, your family, whatever. These and the whole thing. We know it's not 90 minutes. We know
You go with all them together, don't you?
Yeah, you know that it's been very good. You know, it's travelling down there together. The crack, the atmosphere around there, the journey home, the banter with other fans on the tube, anything.
Brilliant.
It's all memories. If you're lucky enough to get to a final, it is the most amazing feeling in the world. And you have those memories forever.
Not for me.
Not for you, being a Newcastle fan.
You know how many
obviously.
finals I've been to?
1,
5.
5.
Do you know how many Newcastle's won?
None.
Exactly.
But the point I'm trying to make is, you know, you don't remember if you finish 2nd, 3rd, 4th in the Premier League. Where's the memories of that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but
they've
listen,
ruined it.
Swansea finished last year 15th in that would be the year before, 15th in the Premier League. They got 11.4 million
Yeah,
for finishing 15th,
yeah.
and yet the FA Cup winners
Yeah.
get 3.6.
Well, I'd
This
rather
is where
see,
it's wrong.
I'd rather see, like what you're alluding to or suggesting, I'd rather see the 20 Premier League clubs put 250 grand each year to the FA Cup, or even the League Cup. I mean, the League Cup was brilliant, and also started faffing
Well,
about.
I don't even know the stats for the figures, the prize fund for the League Cup, lads.
No,
I don't
I
even
think
know them.
Probably next to nothing because, I mean, let's face it, a lot of the
now,
Premiership teams
even
put really bad sides out.
in
don't
that
they?
League Cup, they now do it draw in Thailand and places like that in middle at night, aren't they?
Well, I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
as you know, as I say, all the top clubs, you know.
But you know, no one takes it seriously. The League Cup, for example, right? These Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United, and all that, because of priorities. They soon take it serious when they get to the final and they've got a chance of some silverware.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you know, a day out, the Wembley occasion, the final, everything. I think these are memories and they should be cherished. And
No,
I think it's just,
the clubs might not take it serious, but the fans still do.
Yeah, of course they do.
The
I
fans
do.
still take all cup
If I was,
competitions serious.
if I'm going to a League Cup final, I'd be buzzing off me. You know what
I mean, I'm not just on about the finals. I mean, I'm on about the earlier rounds as well. And it must dishearten a lot of these fans that go to watch an FA Cup third round, say, and their team puts about 6, 7 or 8 lesser players in.
It's still the best. I still
you
think
know
it's
what I
the
mean?
best competition because when you do get to them third rounds, when some of the minnows manage to get through, they're brilliant, aren't they? They're brilliant when you see them little. When they got them little chance of doing it, and we've
But
seen
then
some over
again,
the
the
years.
minnows, just the story, sorry to talk
Did
over you,
Newcastle
people,
get done by a minnow?
Yeah, Hereford.
Famous there was
Hereford.
Hereford.
Yeah, Ronnie
Ronnie
Radford.
Radford.
Yeah,
That screamer from outside Bottom
Yeah.
on the right mid in, wasn't it?
Incredible. But listen, talking about the minnows,
Yes.
the minnows go, and this is incredible, they get past the extra preliminary round, they win the preliminary round, they win the first round qualifying, they win the second round qualifying, they win the third round qualifying, and then they get into the fourth cup qualifying proper, and then they win that. Guess how much they get?
50 grand.
25.
Ah, man, what an absolute
It's
joke.
disgraceful.
What a
Terrible.
joke.
That's terrible.
They've played all those rounds. I might have to say that when they win the extra preliminary round, the generous man of the FA gives them quite a lot of money. He gives them 2,250.
What an absolute joke.
It's pathetic,
And
lads.
they still call it, and it's still referred to as the most famous cup competition in
And
the world.
listen, after the break, we're gonna take a little bit ad now. Okay, we're gonna take a few ads, and we're gonna come back. As this conversation will run and run and run. After we come back after the ads, lads, I'm gonna tell you what the women's FA Cup give.
Women's football, are you for real?
Hey, I like women's football. I like all women's sport.
Yeah, only,
mate.
only at the end when they
No,
swap
no,
the
no, no, I
shirts.
tell you, no.
Steve likes it when it's raining and that, you know, and the shirts are sticking to the girls. But wait, listen, when I tell you the figures that the FA, who in brackets here want to promote the women's game, when I tell you what they give the women's FA Cup winners and the preliminary round winners and the fourth round and fifth round, you will fall off your seats, lads. You will fall off your seats. Okay, we're going to take, as I say, a few ads, and then we're going to take a little bit of Venga Boys, and we'll be back with this same conversation Radio 1 Benidorm, live from the Levante Beach. 16.
10.
Boom, boom, boom.
You like a bit of Venga Boys, don't you?
Boom,
Don't?
boom, boom. All right, what a tune that is, man. I want to go for a pint now, man. I'm buzzing.
You love that, lads, don't you?
Oh,
You absolutely
mate,
love it.
seriously, what
a
is-
bit of the Venga Boys,
Ah, man.
and Big Dunk was telling me that he was at a McDonald's or something.
Hey, hang
wasn't
on,
it?
steady on. Go on.
Well, you were saying you were at the McDonald's and you were driving along or something. Somebody got all the windows down and
No,
played
he
the
don't
music.
listen,
and
don't
that.
pay
He doesn't
attention,
listen,
does he?
I was listening. I know
you.
he wasn't there. It was just a video, but I was just trying
It's
to
on
bring you
YouTube, just
into
go
the
on
video.
YouTube and go on YouTube and search Boom 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 or Venga Boys UK Dancing Street or something like that, and it's a fantastic video. It sums up the UK in one.
I remember the Blackadder series in Baldrick. This is what reminds us of. Baldrick had a poem that he'd penned for the guys going over the top, and Ron Atkinson says, "Okay, lads, yeah, okay. Well, if you must read your poem, out with it." And Baldrick went, "Boom, boom, boom." And then there was a little pause, and he went, "Boom, boom, boom, boom." And there was another pause, and he went, "Boom, boom." That was kind of summed it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were talking about World War One last Thursday, or the last Thursday before.
Cagerona for a pint, I think, after here, guys.
Not for you. You're on that keto diet.
That's keto. I'll have a pint of
You have to wait
Diet
till
Coke.
tomorrow night.
Vodka. Oh,
What are you drinking tomorrow night?
Vodka.
Oh, vodka.
Yeah. That'll be a nightmare, that, you know that, don't you?
Yeah.
Hey lads, I've got bad news for you. I'm not drinking. I am the official photographer.
I can't sit with you for a few hours without a drink, you know. Seriously.
Listen, you've got some quotes on Scudamore,
Yes.
Big Dunk, haven't you? We
Yeah.
were talking prior to the ads there about this charlatan that's took
Yes.
5 million out of the game that could have went to
This
grassroots.
multi-millionaire already. So the Tottenham chairman, Daniel Levy, he said we are all very supportive of the payment. He has unique knowledge and experience, which is going to be of ongoing benefit to the Premier League. It's absolutely a fair payment, and all the clubs were behind it.
But they are, are they?
No.
They're not all.
No,
behind
and West Ham co-chairman David Gold said he'd back the payment. He deserves everything he gets, he said.
Boys club.
This is all very appropriate.
That's all it is.
Boys
and we're all
clubs,
very
old school
pleased.
ties.
They all pee in the same pot, don't they?
Yeah,
Right.
they certainly do.
Now, one other thing before we move on to something else is obviously he's left his position now.
Who's taking over?
Susanna Dinage, 51-year-old. She'll be the new chief executive.
Is she fit?
Yeah, she's all right. She's
Not as nice as Theresa
Not as
May.
nice as Theresa May, like, you know what I'm saying. She's made a name for herself in broadcasting rather than the world of football. She's known to be a Fulham fan, holds a season ticket at Craven Cottage. She's one of Britain's leading media executives working at US media group Discovery, the company that owns Eurosport and cable channels such as TLC and the Food Network. So again, there's a connection there, isn't there, in terms of broadcasting and I would assume the negotiating of future television deals. But I don't think, guys, that these deals are going to pop. The bubble can't go on forever. It's going to pop at some point.
You think so, Frank?
Yes. Oh,
I don't know about that because if it's promoted right,
Don't forget, I need to interrupt you right at that point. Don't forget that Sky paid less for the new TV deals this time round than they did last. So there's a decrease.
well, but as I said, it's got that. It's got that great standing over the world as the Premier League that people will pay for it.
I don't know where you want to go to. Where we're going to next because I've got
Right,
something.
well, I'll tell you, because have you finished with your quotes, yeah?
I'll finish with the quotes, but there is something that we can move into, which is kind of tied into
Well,
it.
this is tied in, because
Okay.
I want to tell you just briefly,
yes,
lads,
yes.
about the Women's FA Cup.
Yes.
Now, there's a new girl came in, Big Dunk says, what's her name again, Big Dunk?
Susanna
Dinage.
Susanna Dinage.
Big Dunk says she's reasonably fit for a 51-year-old. Okay, not quite as sexy as Theresa May, but reasonably fit.
all
Now,
right.
one of the things that I've seen lauded over the last few years of FIFA about trying to support the women's game, the England Lionesses, and all this rubbish. And during a little bit of my research and on this charlatan that's took 5 million quid out the game, I decided to research the men's FA Cup. The payments are derisory, and that's why it's been devalued over the years. But the women's FA Cup, English FA, you should hang your heads in shame. Listen to these, and these the lads, the other two pundits haven't heard these figures yet. I'm going to tell them to guess some payments, okay? Listen to these payments.
Go on then.
Okay, the first round, that was the men's one. The first round proper,
Yeah.
the first round proper of the Women's FA Cup,
Right.
there's two winners, okay? How much do they get paid? How much do the team receive?
It's going to be something ridiculous, like 500 quid each or something, isn't it?
Well, where's
It's
talking?
gotta be mental.
I don't know.
350 quid.
That's stupid.
Right.
Right, go on.
When they get to, let's jump straight to the quarterfinals. When they get to the quarterfinals and they win the quarterfinals,
Yes.
how much do they get each team? The quarterfinals of the FA Cup.
Probably something like £5,000.
You're not far away.
15 grand.
4 grand.
That's ridiculous.
This is the organisation that wants to promote women's football.
But isn't this all relative to do with the popularity and the audience?
No,
and the
no,
money they're
no,
getting in?
no,
You
no,
still-
no.
you
This
don't
is
think
this is the FA deciding what money goes
you
here.
don't think that
Where
this-
they give £15 million payment to a team that finished in 16th place in the FA Cup, in the Premier League, and they give, and I'm going to go straight to it, when they win the semi-final, they get £5
But the
grand.
Premier League and the FA are two different things, though, aren't they? So the FA,
No, the FA still control it all.
well, the
Football Association
the
oversee
finances
it.
are completely different, aren't they? But they've got enough money, though, haven't they, to pay better things than that. I would
Yeah.
agree with you. I was just playing like devil's advocate there, is whether you think that this is obviously the audience. There is no big audience for this, but they want it to grow. They want to make it important, which is right. And I think it's only the likes, isn't it, of the BBC maybe show quite a bit of this. I think the BBC maybe have the rights to that competition.
Possibly.
So I assume they're not paying a great deal for that. So is it just a case that this is just the distribution of the television money from that, or would
No,
you argue
no,
that
these
it
are
should be
payments
the FA,
from the FA.
So the FA should be putting
And
more
don't forget
into this
the
of their
FA.
own money.
The
yeah?
FA control all the Premier League payments. This is what I'm saying. The
I think
FA
you're wrong with
control
that.
the
I
pot.
think
No,
you're
no,
wrong.
no.
I think you're
100%. Let's get to the final and
Right,
the semi.
I'll let you
the
off.
final winners.
But
Okay.
They don't say dunk knows best for no reason, but carry on.
Well, you didn't know it was DKFA the other week.
What was that for?
I can't remember. You got something totally wrong, but never mind.
That's
What does
Liverpool.
that stand for? DKFA?
Football Association.
With Liverpool and
Dunk knows Football Association. The final of the Women's FA Cup. This is a game that the FA are trying to promote. And bearing in mind, this guy from the FA has just retired on a golden goodbye of £5 million.
Premier League.
The Premier League, the final runners-up get 15 grand. The final winners get 25 grand. The total pot
I've got more
payable,
change down the back of my sofa.
the total pot
150.
payable from the first round to the final for the Women's FA Cup is a measly 150 grand.
Well, they're not trying to promote it
It's
too well. are they?
unbelievable, lads, unbelievable. But listen, we'll do a little bit of research, Dunk. My understanding is that the FA control the lot.
No.
The FA control the lot.
The governing body in terms of the rules, aren't they, and things like that. Like you've got UEFA and FIFA and stuff. But as I understand it, it's completely independent with regards to finances.
Well, this.
I don't know, I can't comment on that.
Sorry, go on.
Well, this Scudamore, I mean, what he was executive chairman. Was he executive chairman of the FA? Was
No,
he
Premier League,
executive
chief
of the
executive.
Premier League?
Yes.
Okay, so again, Bruce Buck, Billy Buck, Chelsea chairman.
Yes.
What's he got to do? He's the Chelsea chairman, so what's he got to do with the Premier League or the FA?
It's just an opinion. He's voicing an opinion, but the thing is, that's his golfing buddy.
Wasn't
You know?
an opinion. He rubber stamped it without a vote.
No, it was his suggestion to all the clubs. We should all chip in and do this for Richard. Basically, that's what he was saying. And they've done it, but they've tried to U-turn, haven't they, to make out that they're not all doing 250 grand a piece, but it is actually
Can I just come in?
still
sorry.
collectively responsible
Sorry
for
to
that
talk
payment.
over you. Can I just come in there and it's stated here that the Premier League is the top level of the English football, which we know, but it is. I've lost where I was coming in out there.
Competition was formed as the FA Premier League, i.e. it's run by the Football Association.
It's not. I'll have a wager on this. I'll tell you the Premier League stuff
Right,
because you've got the
but
EFL
what I was
as well,
going to say
haven't
was the Premier League has the
governed.
highest revenue of any football league in the
Yes,
world, with a
yes.
total club revenues of 2.48 billion in
Yes.
2010,
Yes.
2013, 14. But it states there it's got the highest revenue of any league in the world.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the most successful,
yeah.
without a doubt.
It has to be overseen by the FA because at the
No,
end
but
of the
it's-
day,
because
at the end of the
I think
day, it
you'll find
forms
that
part of
it's
the English
governing-
Football League.
It's governed. Yeah, they govern. The Football Association governs the game in England.
Well, that's what I'm. That's
All
just
the
what I'm saying.
divisions. Yeah, what I'm saying is the finances. The FA Cup.
Yeah, right. I think
Oh.
Flying Pig's got
Listen,
it now.
The FA Cup, right? Competition prize money comes from the FA's finances, right? The Premier League's money comes from the Premier League revenues. That's the bit. So you two are desperately trying to prove me wrong here.
Yeah, it's here. Look, we'll need to read this.
It says the Football Association is a governing body of the football for England. The Football Association is tasked with the organisation of football in England, putting into play the rules which have been handed down by the world's governing body. So,
Yeah, football is they oversee the running of it
The
all.
running of it,
but
yeah.
it is
there it is, and is in charge of the England national football team. Oh, so I thought I was going to
no,
say
just
league.
shut up, right? DKB, let's move on. Listen,
No, hey, listen, we're not moving on when I'm going to prove you wrong,
you're
boy.
not going to prove me wrong.
Okay, the Football Association Premier League is the body that runs the top flight of English
is what I've
football,
said.
but it's still overseen by the FA. What role does the
Listen,
FA play
listen,
within
listen,
the Football Association
listen.
Premier League? The FA is the regulatory body of
We know all
football
that.
in England.
We know all that. But what you're doing there, you brought up an issue and said about payments in the FA Cup. The payments in the FA Cup come from the Football Association, not the Premier League.
right, can
Therefore, the Football Association have to finance those payments.
just
It's
come in,
completely
Doug?
separate to the Scudamore issue. Which
Right, it
is
says
Premier.
here, although the FA does not run the day-to-day operations of the Premier League, it has veto power over the appointment of the league chairman and chief
Yeah, 'cause that's the
executive,
rules.
and over any
Because
charges
they
to
govern
league rules.
because they govern it, but the two separate entities in terms of finance. The Premier League's
Okay.
money has nothing to do with the FA League money, FA Cup money. The FA Cup payments come from the Football Association's finances. They do not have anything to do with the Premier League.
I think, Flying Pig, you've got the page that we really need to come and study and have a
You
little
can
look.
study it
Of
all.
course I have.
Your
I'm on
battery's
the
going
button.
down. You're on the
On
button.
the
Flying
button.
Pig's on the button. No problem whatsoever. We're going to take a few more ads.
Yeah,
Let's
you
have
only
a
want to
look
run
where
some
we're
ads
gonna
so you
come-
can read it.
We're going to do a few more ads. We're going to come back with a little bit more music, a little bit Red Hot Chili Peppers, and then we'll be back with the 3Pundits.
Got loads to talk about. We've got the other quickly some topics.
12.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. That argument goes on and on, lads. On and on and on.
Yeah, but at least we know I was right. Anyway, so also
DK knows best.
No, he doesn't.
I do. Also at that Premier League shareholders meeting, the Premier League rejected the FA's post-Brexit proposal to increase quotas of homegrown players. The Premier League has rejected the FA's proposal of increased quotas of homegrown players under Brexit, which was presented to them personally on Thursday by FA Chief Executive Martin Glenn. The FA want to see the number of overseas players permitted in a Premier League squad reduced from 17 to 12. And the government has indicated that it will take the governing body's proposal when formulating rules post-Brexit. The FA sees itself in a unique position to influence the future of the domestic game and wants rules that will favour the development of English players without affecting the quality of the competition. So basically, guys, the FA want the overseas players reduced in any squad in the Premier League from 17 to 12.
Yeah, well, that's basically to bring homegrown players through, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's what they're after.
Yeah.
The Premier League have vetoed that.
The Premier League has rejected that
Yeah.
proposal.
Yeah.
What would you think? Should there be less foreign players in the squads now?
I'm a big believer in ability, to be quite honest.
So it don't matter
Big
where
Dunk.
they come
I'm a
from.
big believer in
If you're good enough, you play.
in free movement. I'm not one of these jingoistic Englishmen that believes we should be building walls at Dover and keeping people out. I think if a Frenchman or a Bolivian or a Serbian is a better player than the
Better
guy
player than
from,
the local
from Newcastle,
17-year-old.
then if
Yeah.
is what we say, we've got the best Premier League in the world, then yes, we need to attract the
Yeah,
best players.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with that as well, personally.
And
Okay.
let's be honest about it. In theory, because you can't, I know a fair bit about signing youngsters and things, i.e. you can't sign them, but in theory, you can't bring a youngster from abroad until he's 16 or 17. So in theory, the homegrown players should have the ability, or rather the best chance to show what they've got from age 6 to 16.
That just
You
makes
know.
me wonder if years ago, if we had have had so many overseas players in the game, if some of the top players that we've known in our country might never have been given a chance. That's the only thing that bothers me. So I might have different opinions to you on that one, I think.
A bit hypothetical, that,
Yeah.
you know.
But you never know, maybe someone might not have got that chance. But they quickly again, the Premier League voted to introduce VAR next season, 7 months
Not
after.
Rightly
before
so.
time. Not
7
before
months
time.
after.
Should be in now.
After delaying its arrival. They delayed it 7 months ago, but they did vote last week to definitely go ahead with that.
What is that's going to be?
Yeah, from next season.
From next season,
yeah,
it's going to
this-
be implemented into Premier League.
Yeah,
is it?
yeah.
Fantastic.
They are still the Premier League's non-live testing programme will remain in place for the rest of this season, with a continued emphasis on those Saturday afternoons, which have several matches being played concurrently, and developing a clear protocol for communicating VAR decisions to fans, which is what we've discussed on previous shows. And the other thing that they agreed at the shareholders meeting was to keep the early closing of the summer transfer window before the start of the season, despite the idea being widely regarded this year as counterproductive and placed them at a disadvantage relative to European rivals. Do you remember there was like some of the clubs were saying this is wrong because you can effectively lose a player and Barcelona can go on and sign players,
Yeah.
but we can't do that.
Yeah.
So there were suggestions that they might shelve that change that they made, but they're sticking to it.
You know, I've got to say, I mean, we discussed Brexit on Thursday night, but if, again, we discussed the no deal implication if there's a no deal next March, I don't know if you realise, guys, but if there's a no deal next March, all the agreements that the English FA have made with Europe in relating to giving European players free movement to the UK all end. All finish.
Yeah, so that's what they're doing, looking at it all that.
And literally, if the EU want to impose this, they could then say, right, okay, every single player that then plays in the English and Scottish League has to have a work permit.
Yeah.
And in order to get a work permit, they need to have represented
How many
their
caps they've got, innit?
countries
Yeah.
on a national basis.
Which is why it's
Now-
harder for them to sign players now, isn't it? From the
Now-
likes of Brazil and that. or
Exactly,
South
in
America.
Brazil, in America. I've got a young American guy who was playing for Dallas, and I was wanting him to come to one of the English clubs and I just can't get them there. I can't get them there. I do a little bit agents work and things like that in the football. I can't get him there because he's American.
Yeah.
Now, Britain, what all these people, and again, we're going back to Thursday and we're arguing about Brexit and things, but it is relevant in football terms. All these people that voted for Brexit, I bet not one of them has given a thought
No, they won't.
to actually how it
No.
might affect the Premier League in years to come.
Well,
Nah.
You know, you'll not have the best Premier League in the world if you cannot get the Serbians and the French and the Spanish guys coming into the Premier League.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the best Premier League. And again, getting back to the old Brexit crap again, not one person would have given that any thought because they didn't realise it would have such an effect.
So are you going to tell us about this referee, David
Oh,
McNamara? Because I know
brilliant.
you
Now,
wanted to mention this.
Well,
on
listen,
your-
I've stuck up for the women's game in the past half hour. You know me, lads. I'm not a sexist.
No, not at all.
Okay, I've stuck up for the Women's FA Cup. I think the payments at the Women's FA Cup are given are derisory. They are a disgrace. Winning round one and they get 350 quid. And then there's... Oh, I nearly swore there, lads. This guy gets 5 million retirement payoff. It's disgraceful. But listen, I have to tell you, in a women's game last week, referee David McNamara forgot his coin. Okay, now you could argue that's not very professional. He's only got 3 things to think of: his whistle, his book with his cards in, and his coin, and he's forgot one of them. So he went into it, and it was a televised game. Okay, middle of the centre circle. He gets a little thing. He says, "Okay, 20 seconds to kick off," and he realises he's forgot his coin. So he gets the 2 captains together, and he plays scissors, rock, paper.
Scissors, paper,
Okay,
stone,
or
yeah,
say
so
whatever
yeah,
it's
yeah,
called.
yeah.
fantastic.
Okay, so the
I
2
think
captains
that's
had a little bit of
right.
laugh. The guy has been roasted.
That's genius
Roasted.
improvisation.
Okay,
Genius.
absolutely agree with you.
And
He's
suspended
been
for 3
roasted.
weeks.
One of the women in the FA have said it is a classic example of how unseriously women's football has taken at the top level, and to pull a gesture like that out is tantamount to sexist.
But
Don't
didn't
get me
you see
started
on
on
the
that.
news as well that the tennis match, I think it was Federer, they actually did it. They were stood over at net going like this, you know.
Did they? I
Yeah, they
didn't
did
see
it
that.
at tennis.
Yeah.
And obviously they must have heard about this, and they did it at tennis just to replicate it.
He's
Well,
been suspended for 3
3
weeks.
weeks
love
after accepting a charge of not acting in the best interests of the game. And an FA spokesperson said, the FA can confirm that referee David McNamara has been suspended for 21 days, blah, blah, blah. After accepting that charge, this follows an incident in the WSL match between City and Reading in October when he failed to determine which team would kick off the match by the toss of a coin as required by the laws of the game. He will return on Monday 17th of December. So it was the FA Women's Super League. It's the Football Association's highest league of women's football in England, which has been run by the FA, which we've been talking about today since April 2011. So, rules are rules, yes?
What's he supposed
or
to
is
do?
it genius improvisation?
I think it's genius improvisation. What was he
I
supposed
do.
to do? Run off the pitch and go
What
and get a
difference
coin?
does it make?
No.
You know what I mean?
I've
It's
got-
random, innit?
No, I'm having a little pop at the women here because
Yes.
they've like they're pulling their blouses up like, oh no, you know, it's
I
not
like
it's
that.
not very. It's listen. It was in our opinion, the 3 pundits, and we know our stuff. It was marvelous improvisation. You could argue it was unprofessional. He forgot one thing or 3, but I have to tell you, no action was taken against in the Ryman League
Yeah.
last year. Christmas. A game before Christmas Eve,
Right.
one of the referees walked onto the pitch.
Right.
He deliberately left his coin behind, and he didn't improvise because it was planned. He actually started the game rather than a coin toss. What did he use?
No idea, but I'm sure you're going to enlighten us.
He pulled out of his pocket a Christmas cracker.
Shut
And
up.
true.
So
And he got the 2
stupid.
captains to pull the Christmas cracker, and the one with the big end won the toss.
Oh,
and do you know
really?
what? Everybody thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody thought it was great.
And he didn't get done.
And he didn't get done. He didn't get
Oh.
suspended. Now, all of a sudden, the women, and I have to be honest, I have to be true to myself, women, what was the difference?
Hang
What
on a
did
minute,
it
hang on a
make?
minute. You're not telling me, right, that them girls on that pitch, they were probably absolutely fine with it. If the captain was,
Yes.
she wouldn't have took part in it. What it is some feminist div, which we were talking about on Thursday night, weren't we?
That's a
trying to
technical
make
term.
something out
Feminist
of
div.
something. That's
you-
all it is.
Was you belittling the women's game a little bit though there, Scotty?
No, what I'm saying is, you know, I understand the seriousness of we're really wanting to be taken serious, and we are taking you. Listen, I'm watching the England. I played at a semi-pro level. I'm watching the English girls now. And I'm going to be honest with you, I couldn't get in that team
I'll
at
tell
my
you what,
peak
good.
at 21-year-old.
And you
They're
just
that good.
And you just went like that. Oh, they were pulling it.
No, what I'm
but I'll tell you
saying is
something
that-
now, it's going right across
Yeah,
all
you're,
sport.
yeah,
Listen,
you're
listen,
offending us.
Listen, you're offending me. You're going right across sport as well, not just for football, but the girls are now playing the cricket, they're playing the rugby. You get on that rugby pitch with some of them girls.
I wouldn't.
They'd knock
I
7
wouldn't.
bells out of you, boy.
I would be pushing Big Paul in the way.
Exactly.
When was the last time you saw a woman in a blouse anyway? Do you know what I mean?
What's that got to do with it?
Well, because you were talking about blouses, weren't you?
No, but what I'm saying is that, like, you
Stop
know,
digging your own,
you're actually getting more and more respect and more serious year on year, and then something like that happens, and you're spitting your dummies out.
That referee would have done the same thing in a
Of course, that's
in men's
exactly
football.
what I'm
That's-
saying.
do you know what I
But
mean?
they've
think
made
it's
it.
brilliant.
But
Absolutely
they've, yeah,
brilliant.
they've made an example of him because one woman in particular, I believe the Chelsea captain, one woman in particular has slaughtered him and says he wouldn't have done it in a male game. He would have done it in a male
He
game.
would absolutely.
And you know what? 22 males on the pitch and the FA
Just
and
get on with it.
52,000 would have said, hey, well, good on you,
Just
son.
get on with
Good
it,
on
do
you.
you know what I mean?
So yeah, what I'm saying, Bills, if you're listening out there, is you're not doing yourself any favours. That guy, he had a schedule to get. Okay, he made an error of judgment. Not an error of judgment, in my opinion. He left his coin. It was a professional error, but he's improvised and he got the game kicked off on time.
Genius.
You know, you can't really argue with it. It's
We've run out of time, haven't we?
We've run out of time again, lads. It's 6 minutes to 4.
Big Paul's waiting in the wings.
He's in the wings. How did Bradford do last week, Big Paul?
I think we got a draw. We got a point, I think.
You're under Cosh again today and all. Away
Third
at
place
Peterborough.
today. Up against third place today.
Yeah, Peterborough, pop. Yeah.
Oh dear, the
It's not
posh.
looking good.
The posh. Not looking
So,
good for
do you know
Bradford.
what we're not talking about today? I'm going to
What?
save these for next week.
Okay, Monday show.
Monday night.
Monday.
Well, we could do that, yeah. Premier League clubs could lose 10 million a year due to live streaming, pirate feeds and stuff like that. Lots of information on that I want to discuss with you guys. And also,
Well, you're the
obviously-
expert on that, Dunk, aren't you? Pirate feeds.
Yeah, absolutely. You are in the 80.
All in your house.
Hey, listen.
Come on, Long John.
And also, Arsenal confirming that they're heavily involved in European Super League talks. So,
Yeah, so
what's
look
going
at
down
that,
with the
innit?
European
Yeah.
Super League?
Absolutely ran out of time once again. It's
Yes.
quite incredible where 2 hours go. It's 5 minutes to 4. As we say, Big Paul's waiting in the wings. He'll be bringing you all the details of League 1, League 2, the Scottish leagues. We've got some UEFA Nations games kicking off, Paul, in about an hour or so. Not the home nations, but other games as well. And I'm sure Paul agrees with me now. The UEFA Nation League is fantastic.
Yes!
3-1,
You just got
3-1.
owned, mate.
He's sitting on the fences,
3-1.
Paul. And don't forget, we're going out on YouTube. We're going out on Facebook, the 3 Pundits. We are on Radio 1 Benidorm.es, that's the figure 1, and we're all going to be at the Paul Merson do tomorrow evening at the Marina Hotel.
A couple of tickets
It's
left,
about-
maybe.
Yeah,
Radio 1 Benidorm.es.
yeah,
down there.
there's 12, I believe,
Is
left.
that right?
Yeah, 12 of the bronze tickets left. If you want to go onto the website, Radio 1 Benidorm.es, you can still purchase a ticket. We're going there, the rabbi's going there, that should be
Oh,
great
dear.
fun. Stop, would you leave things alone, fine, Pig?
Yeah, but look, are you trying to get out of the studio so quick?
He's wanting a pint,
Gagging
man.
for
He's wanting a
pint,
pint.
yeah.
No, I'm not drinking today.
Okay.
No, he's not drinking today. So anyway, that's it. From me, Ken Scott, it's goodbye back of the net.
And it's from me, the flying pig, always on the button.
Hooray.
Get that door open.
God, it's warm, isn't it?